Part 1 of Wolfrider by Avi, picking up from page 15. In his own bed, the man who called himself Zeke also slept. Next morning, it was still raining. As soon as Andy got up, he looked into his father's room. His father was asleep. From the front steps, he retrieved the newspaper, which was wrapped in plastic, and went through the pages carefully. There was nothing about a murder. "Morning," his father said when he came into the kitchen. Dr. Zadinsky was taller than Andy, overweight and balding. There was a time when he joked with people, told bad puns, but a year ago Andy's mother died, and the jokes died with her. Andy worried about his father. "Sorry I got in so late," he said. "How was your party?" "Okay," Andy said. "How was yours?" "Once I got there, good. The Fillmores are nice. They asked about you." He started to make coffee. "We going to put things away today?" "Sure." Dr. Zadinsky looked out the window. The rain was streaming down. "You know, your mother actually liked this kind of day." The memory brought silence. Andy said, "Aunt Mary called." "What did she say?" "Just a message that she called." "I'll give her a ring." Andy watched his father staring out the window and wondered if it was the best time to talk about the call. Only when his father turned to attend the hissing kettle did he say, "Want to hear something weird?" "All right." Andy told him about Zeke. His father listened, poured himself a second cup of coffee, stirred it, sipped at it cautiously. Then he said, "Sounds like a sick joke." I believed it. "Anything in the paper?" "Nothing," said Andy. "Probably didn't find her yet." "Must have been a joke, Andy." "Give you odds. The guy's name was fake. Same for the girls." "Think so?" "Why would he phone here?" "Said he just dialed. Maybe he got your number from the college." Dr. Zadinsky thought it through out loud. "Let's see. Our phone was put in Thursday, right? And that's when we got the number. Okay, Friday, yesterday, my department had an emergency meeting. I took the new number with me, wrote it on a slip of paper, which I intended to give to the secretary. But I was late for the meeting and, you know me, I was rushing and forgot to give it to her. Then the meeting went on much longer than expected. Big hassle about basic math. Went until 6. Thank God for Phil Lucas. Would have gone on forever without him. Anyway, they'd already locked up the building for the weekend. That's how late it was. I flew out of that place. You know, the Fillmores are an hour's drive. That's why I got back so late. Anyway, I left the number on the secretary's desk. She was long gone. Then I remembered I hadn't even put my name on it, so, no, it hasn't been listed anywhere. Forget that." "Our old number?" Andy said suddenly. He sprang up and punched it in. After 3 rings, a robot voice came on. "This number is no longer in service. This number is no longer in service." Andy hung up, disappointed. "Didn't even give the new number." "Too soon," his father said. "They will. Look, the odds for this guy randomly dialing a phone and getting us is small. Not probable, but, with only 3 exchanges in town, possible. What did the police tell Paul? Friday night, full moon, and welfare checks. An unpleasant remark, but I'd say forget about the whole thing." It made me sick. "I don't wonder. How are you doing now?" "Fine." Andy put his dirty dishes into the sink, then reached again for the phone. His father looked up from the paper. "I bet," Andy said, punching in the police number. "The cops just forgot about me." "Officer Martins," he heard. "May I be of assistance?" Andy repeated his story, adding that he had called the night before to give the same information. "I was wondering," he said, "what you had found out." "Hold on," said the policeman. "I'll look." Dr. Zadinsky watched Andy. "What's he saying?" he asked. "He's checking." "Be careful. They'll think you made the call up." "Come on." "I mean it," the policeman returned. "Andrew?" "Yes, sir." "No reports of homicides last night. No missing persons reported. Nothing that matches your information. Quite a peaceful night, in fact." "Sir," said Andy, "did I do the right thing? Talking to the guy, calling you, all that?" "Absolutely," said the policeman. "Most people would have just hung up. No, even if it was a sick joke, and I'm sure it was, You did the right thing. You never know for sure. But you can put this one out of your mind. It was nothing. Andy hung up. He says it was a joke. Wouldn't want it to be true, would you? Are you kidding? Said Andy. Tell you what, his father said as he dumped his own dishes into the sink. Let's get everything put away today. Fast. Then we'll eat out and take in a movie. And tomorrow, stopping mid-sentence, he turned away. What? Said Andy. Andy, I've been thinking. Puzzled, Andy waited for him to go on. Look, his father said finally, still not looking at Andy. I don't think we should go to the cemetery tomorrow. I know it's a year or close to it, and we've been planning to go. I bet that's why your Aunt Mary called last night. But you know as well as I do, we keep putting it off. First bad weather, selling the house, then moving in here. I don't think either of us wants to go. Am I right? He turned to look at Andy. Andy didn't know what he thought. It's time to stop, his father said softly. Stop what? His father made a vague gesture. Feeling bad, mourning. Andy, we loved her. We still do. Always will. But, his voice broke. It's time to let it go. Look, he said in a stronger voice. If the weather's nice tomorrow, let's do something fun. What do you say? You decide, said Andy. No cemetery. When Andy and his father came in that night, the answering machine light was on. Once again, Andy thought it was the police. Once again, he was wrong. The message was an invitation for Sunday afternoon at the home of one of his father's friends. What do you say? Dr. Zadinsky asked. Andy could tell what his father wanted by his expression. Suits me, said Andy. At the gathering on Sunday, Andy stood around, feeling bored and out of place. Most of the guests were from the college, people he only knew vaguely. Then the host told him there was a real arcade video game in the basement. Andy was welcome to play it as much as he liked. Later on, other kids his age showed up. They made the party better. As for his father, Andy noted that he spent most of his time talking to some woman Andy didn't know, and laughing. Monday morning in school between classes, he was walking down the hallway when Paul ran into him. Hear anything? Paul asked. What about? That call. Andy shook his head. Told you, Paul said, giving Andy a thumbs up before disappearing into the crowd. Andy remained where he was. He could hear Zeke saying, I just killed someone, again and again, and wished Paul hadn't reminded him. He didn't want to remember. Once classes were over, he biked to the college to get his father's college library card. The book collection there was huge and much better than the high school libraries for doing research. Andy wanted to get started early on a term paper. Madison State College, with its 7,000 students in mostly new red brick buildings, was like a second home to him. He knew the whole campus, from the basketball courts to the old chapel. For as long as he could remember, his father had taught in the mathematics department and used a small, windowless, book-filled office on the third floor of Brazel Hall. The door was open, but his father was out. A fast check of the posted schedule told Andy that his father was still in class. Willing to wait, Andy pulled a book from his bag and settled down from his bag and settled down in the easy chair Dr. Zadinsky kept for students. The desk phone rang. Andy hesitated, then decided there was no reason not to answer. Hello, he said. Robert? Came the voice. It was a woman. He's teaching, said Andy. Can I take a message? That's all right. I'll call back. The woman hung up. Andy did the same, but instead of returning to the easy chair, he sat at the desk, his attention caught by the college phone book. The sight of it brought to mind something Zeke had said, that the girl, Nina Clemmer, went to college. Andy also remembered his father saying the name was probably false. Though he felt slightly foolish, Andy knew he'd feel better if he checked and saw for himself that the name wasn't there. He flipped through the pages. On page 62 he saw, Nina Clemmer, Wig Hall, 2409. For a long time he stared at the name. Not possible, he said to himself, wanting no real name connected to Zeke. He reached for the phone and dialed the number. Just as quickly, he put the receiver down, not sure what he was trying to do. But Andy stayed by the desk, wondering if the Nina Clemmer in the book was the one Zeke had spoken about, wondering if she had been killed. He dialed again. This time when the phone started ringing, he held on. Wig third, a woman announced. Andy cleared his throat. Is Nina Clemmer there? He said. It felt odd to speak her name. Nina? Right, Nina. Hang on, I think I just saw her going to her library job. The phone clattered down. Puzzled and nervous, Andy waited. Hello? The voice rang out with a breathy, brassy energy. Is this Nina Clemmer? Andy asked. Sure is. My name is Andrew. Andy Zadinsky, and yes? I was calling to tell you something. What's that? See, Andy tried. I live in town. I don't go here, but my father is in the math department in the college, and what's this have to do with me? What I'm trying to say, look, Andy stumbled on, attempting a different track. I don't want to scare you or anything. Why should I be scared? Would you just tell me why you're calling? I've got to go to the library. Did the police call you? Andy blurted out. No, the police didn't call me, and I don't like oddball calls from guys I don't know. I do know you. Really? She said and hung up. Now feeling he must explain, Andy dialed again. Nina picked up on the first ring. Hey man, stop pestering me, she said right off, else I'll call the cops. She hung up. Nina Clemmer was not dead. Andy felt like an idiot. Hello, his father said, walking into the office with a student. This is a surprise. Agitated, disappointed that his father wasn't alone, that they couldn't talk, Andy said, Can I borrow your college library card? I have a paper to do. No problem. His father dug into his wallet. As he handed the card over, he looked carefully at his son. Something up? He asked. Andy, with a glance at the student, shook his head. Tell you later. His father gave a nod of understanding. Dinner by 7? He asked. Okay. Whose turn to cook? Yours. Righto, see you then. Andy remembered the message he'd taken. Someone called. A woman said she'd call back. In front of the library stood a tulip tree, its pink flowers filling the air with a sweet assurance that spring had come. Students sat around it, soaking up the sun. They seemed so sophisticated to Andy, so much at ease, and they made him wonder what he'd like to be when he reached college. He assumed he would go, but he had no idea where. Sometimes he thought it would be Madison State. At other times he considered places far away. Andy liked thinking about the future. The past was something he tried to avoid. The past meant death. He had known, for as long as he could remember, that his parents named him after his father's brother, who had died suddenly in his sleep when still a young man. And his earliest distinct memories was of a midsummer morning when their family dog was killed. She lay in a cardboard box, black curly hair blotched with blood. When Andy's mother tried to explain what had happened, that part Andy didn't recall, she wept. He had never seen his mother cry before. 2 of his grandparents had died, one of them a long, lingering illness in a nursing home. The other suffered a series of strokes. Andy had seen his grandfather strapped to a chair so he wouldn't fall out and hurt himself. Spit dribbled over his slack lips, down his unshaven, toothless chin. He had no idea who Andy was, yet it was he who taught Andy to bait a hook, to throw a curve, to ride a bike. A year ago, Andy's mother had been killed by a drunken driver who hit her car. That morning, she had given Andy breakfast, juice, French toast, and milk, kissed him goodbye, and reminded him of a dentist appointment at 4. He never saw her again, dead or alive. His father, the police, even Paul had said the phone call was a joke. To Andy, talk of death was never, ever a joke. In his usual corner at the top of the library, a partially hidden lounge chair by a window that overlooked trees and a parking lot, Andy tried to think about his paper, tried to read, but thoughts of Nina Clemmer kept filling his mind. She is real and alive. She said the police hadn't called her. Didn't she need to know that someone talked of killing her? As a way of not thinking about the answer, he made himself concentrate on the economic reasons for the Civil War. A loudspeaker in the ceiling blared. Would Mr. Matthews please come to the circulation desk? Andy leaned back in his chair and stared at the speaker. He had never noticed it before. An idea struck him. When he called Nina Clemmer, the person who answered told him Nina was about to leave for her library job. Nina said to herself she was probably in the building, right then. Andy tried to think it through. Nina Clemmer's name was real. Zeke had not made that up. Still, he might have picked the name at random. Not probable, but possible, as his father would say. Andy recalled Zeke's description of her, how precise it was. If he, Andy, could see her, if she bore no resemblance to Zeke's description, it would prove Zeke had picked her name at random, just as he had picked their phone number at random. Therefore, Andy was trying to think logically, if Nina Clemmer looked different than Zeke had said, it would prove the call was a joke. Andy would be able to put the business out of his mind.